Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm Michelle Clausen with Soul Treats. I'm based in Vancouver, Canada. And I'm so excited today. I've got Chris Fabish. You can see him on the screen from Truly Holistic, and he is in New Zealand. And so you've got Vancouver, Canada, and New Zealand on the screen. How amazing is that? We're like from two different, completely different parts of the world. So I'm going to briefly do an introduction for Chris, but I'm going to have him go a little bit further on that. I do just want to give a couple shout outs to some people that are currently here right now. Kathy, Amber Lee, Krish, and I see Mary's here, and I see a few people popping on. And there is a little bit of a delay on Facebook, just to let you know. It's about a minute and a half, almost close to 2 minutes. So your comments come in a little bit slowly. But if you have any questions during this Soul Treats Live, please feel free to put them in the comments. So once again, I have Chris Favish here. And, you know, Chris has just so many different things that he can do. And I'll have him explain that to you. But he is a quantum energy healer. He's a coach, a color therapist, a truth seeker, but he's also the maker of the Tensor Technology Energy Tools that he's going to be talking about. And I personally have one. Mine is called the Ascension Infinity Pendant, which is this one here. That's mine. Which I have with me all the time. But I'm going to turn this over to Chris. Chris, thank you so much for accepting my invite to Soul Treats. And I'll see you on the other side. Enjoy, everybody.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks very much for inviting me. So thank you for that introduction. Yes, I do dip my toe in a number of different sectors of energy healing. And yes, I work, there's a number of kind of sessions that I do that all different facets of healing. And obviously, in this talk today, I'm going to be talking a lot about Tensor Technology. And obviously, I do session work for people that have health problems, manifestation problems, you name it. Everything at the core is energy, and everything is frequency. So we do healing sessions like that. We also do what I call reality coaching sessions, not kind of life coaching, but reality coaching, where we go through some very simple, basic principles of, what is reality and how do I get the best out of my life, right? By understanding how reality works. Because we're not just participants or observers of reality, we're creators of reality every day. In every moment, we're making choices that are going ahead in regards to creating the stepping stones we're going to walk on, which become our future. So, the biggest aspect of healing for me is not about directly thinking of outside influences that could be causing my problem. It's what am I doing? What's the client doing? What are you doing yourself? And seeing, really embodying yourself as that creator, not just that observant participant. Seeing you that not as the human that's kind of observing and participating in a reality or an existence, but you as the soul, you as a consciousness that's very powerful. And what we find out is a lot of the times, I always love the expression, the little things that matter, because it's got so much weight to it. And those little things are found in every moment. The choices that we're making every day, that if we don't have a full awareness of how we're making those choices and those decisions, then our energy could be going against us. We could be creating manifestation that is putting the odds against us every day instead of in our favor. And essentially, those little things choices we're making is essentially frequency that is materializing into matter itself, physical reality. So, it's so aligned with that expression. So we talk a lot about those concepts, and also how I got started was in color therapy, which my grandmother was a color therapist, and that's how I kind of got started in the game of energy healing. And we still use it every now and then, but one thing about at Truly Holistic is, which I'm very proud of, is that we've really evolved. We're always evolving the practice and how we heal people, the information that we bring forth, because that's essentially what ascension is. Ascension is personal growth, evolution. Ascension is to move forward. We don't get stuck in stasis in that current time, or we're not dwelling on information that was from the ancients a long time ago. This technology, which I'm going to bring forth now, and we're going to talk about tensor technology, is a technology that, goes back a long time ago. But again, with that technology, we take it and we evolve with it. We take it to a new place. Okay. And so in regards to tensor technology, and I'm going to show you what a tensor ring looks like. So this is a tensor ring here. And there was a gentleman called Slim Sperling in the early 90s, so about 30 years ago now, that brought forth this awareness to the public at that time, or humanity, of a tensor ring. Okay, and what he found is he created a circle, or just a loop that wasn't twisted, the wire, and he had some psychic friends that could see energy. And all of a sudden, they could see that there was this energy that was going through that loop, through the circle. But because it wasn't twisted, there was a positive side on one side and there was a negative side on the other. And what he came to find was when they twisted the wire, all of a sudden transmuted the negative effect, that was just positive on both sides. So there was a column of positive light going through it. And I'm not going to go in depth with Slim's findings, because when I got introduced to tensor technology, I didn't go through reading Slim's books and learning through Slim Sperling, which is quite unique, because the majority of people that make tensor technology or tensor rings all know in depth about Slim Sperling, reading his books, and still kind of promoting his work that he did, some 25, 30 years ago. So essentially how a tensor ring works is, what you do is you get copper wire and you bend it back on itself, and then you put it into a drill and you twist the wire. Okay, so you get this wire that's twisted, as you can see here. Now, the interesting thing about that twist is it's creating a vortex. Okay, and we know that the vortex is the geometry of flow. And so, that's something that water teaches us very good in nature, right? Is when water's flowing, and the faster that water flows, the more ability it has to rejuvenate itself and regenerate itself through centripetal, centrifugal forces, right? It's cleansing itself. But at the same kind of way of looking at water, when water loses its ability to flow and it's at stasis, it's still, water gets very smelly and dirty very quickly. Now, we can use that same principle to the way we live our life in relevance to flow. Are you in the flow of your life? Are you riding the wave, or are you kind of controlling your fate as the human with the mind, impeding that flow and obstructing that flow all the time? So you can already tell by my work that there's a real emphasis on the person themselves. Because what I find is that a majority of our issues is due to our connection to our authentic self, which is our soul, our infinite consciousness, and every aspect that you are is a multidimensional being. And two, understanding how you use your energy, being aware of how you're using your energy. Okay, so it all comes back to you. Okay, even outside influence. Outside influence is only a factor because it's grabbing your attention. It's part of yours. And the universal law of attention is that where we place our attention, we feed our own energy into it being there or creating more of it. So you can see that an outside influence is not really about that person that is deemed the outside influence. It's you enabling that to have a place to rent into your awareness, because you're feeding it your own energy for it to be there. So even with that, it comes down to you. Okay, and obviously the word awareness is bound and very closely associated with the word consciousness. And a lot of my work, we don't look at consciousness like the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, because the mind and consciousness are polarities, they're opposites to each other. So I really like to divide those two. I don't like the theory of the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, because there's too much of it, consciousness and mind being muddled up together. They're complete opposites. The mind is a pathway as the human through the limitations of the human, but consciousness is a way that we can expand ourselves. So the complete opposites. So coming back to that with a flow, so we twist the wire, and then once the wire is twisted, we then cut that a length, okay, which we're then, in this case, going to bring back on itself to a closed loop, which of a circle. Okay. Now we call that length a qubit measure. Okay. So what Slim did to start off with his first qubit measure he used came from the Giza pyramids, and that was the 144. And then there was another qubit measurement, which was the lost qubit, was the 177. He co-founded with a mathematician. So there were two qubit measures that a majority of people that are still making tensor products are still making them out of those two qubit measures. Sometimes empowerment qubit, which is 188, which was kind of at the end of Slim's life that came about, the introduction of the empowerment qubit. But a lot of people are still using qubit measures that are kind of 25, 30 years old. And for me, my practice is evolving week to week, because the thing is, energy only knows one way and consciousness only knows one way, and it's the flow. So it's ever evolving and changing itself. So for me, things that are about 25, 30 years ago, they were what was required at that time. But things have shifted, moved on from there. Now, my personal journey into tensor products, as I say, wasn't really through Slim. Because I'm an intuitive and I'm dowsing, I get information coming through all the time. And I can remember the first qubit measure that was brought forth to me was about activating people's RNA. Okay. And so I wanted to bring a product that was going to enable us to kind of get through that wall or over that hurdle in regards to what more can we do with people's RNA at that time. And this was a few years ago now. And I was given a measurement, a number. And so this is how I learned to also make these products as well, and learn how about brazing, which is kind of a form of welding, where we braze the ends together and we create a loop or create a ring, which creates a tensor flow through the ring. Okay, so this is just merely a physical anchor, the copper. The column of light is coming through the middle of it. Okay, and I could be a kilometer, or if we wanted to talk about in miles, half a mile away. And if I direct it that way, that column of light would still reach you. Okay, so it's going out that way and it's going out that way. So I first made my own tensor ring. Okay, and it was called just purely the RNA activator. And we were using that, and that kind of started the process off. All of a sudden, I was realizing that, okay, we can do the clearing in a session with a client, but we can also empower people to have products that they can use themselves. Now, there are four, I think I've made about 7 or 8 qubit measures have come through me. But, a few years ago, I made this a very important goal to myself. And that goal was to understand reality. Okay, what a goal to make, eh? Right? Had no boundaries, no limitations to it. And that's why we do reality coaching now, and why I've learned so much of the emphasis of connection at a higher level, but also secondly, how you use your energy, because you're everything. You're the pivotal aspect of your reality. So you need to understand this. You need to know how your powers work and also how they work with reality itself and at creating reality. So out of that goal, I've had so much insight, so much information in regards to how we use our energy, how reality works. Why is there dark entities? Why is there negative entities? Why is there AI? Why is all this stuff? Not just the fact that it's there and having speculation about it, but fully understanding it and having a knowing of that. And through that process, I've been able to make these wonderful tensor products, okay? So we essentially make 4 qubit measurements now in all the products that we make. And we make products in a whole lot of designs. And I'm just going to quickly show you some of the designs now. So we make a whole bunch of tensor rings to all different sizes. Okay, we make them at this size, which you can kind of place over a water bottle to restructure your water. For example, I've got a bottle of water here, and you can just place it like that. Okay, we also make products that are cell phone tabs, so you can place them on your cell phone, which again transmutes the field. So it's instead of a non-compatible field of Wi-Fi in the cell phone and the radiation that comes off that, then it's restructuring that frequency, that energy, so it's compatible to you. So we're not just blocking it, we're making your cell phone charge your energy instead of deplete or leak your energy out. And another way you can use them, and I've got one on my water bottle here, you can also place it on the water bottle. So for example, if you don't want the ring, you can just then, it comes with double-sided tape, and you can place it on the cap of your bottle, and that will then restructure the water that you drink. And you can make water. I used to be a very avid spring water fan. I go to springs and bottle my own water and stuff like that. But now I just get water out of the tap and I use my Tensor technology to restructure the water back to its original form. Okay, so there's ones like that. We also make bracelets. Okay, so this is just a ring that would double back on itself. Okay, so you just place that on the wrist as so. You can bend it to the shape of your wrist. So you can have it like that. Now, this is wonderful for people that suffer with carpal tunnel syndrome, arthritic hands, like people have that rheumatoid or arthritis. Also, another thing that we do at Truly Holistic is which is called intuitively aligned. We work on the biomechanics of the body, aligning people's necks and backs, working on posture, releasing nerves that have been compressed because of disc herniation, those sorts of things. And we do this all through distance work. I have clients all over the world that we do this and they get wonderful results. So why I mention that is because sometimes we can have a pinched nerve that is at the base of our neck. Now there's a bundle of nerves that run down there, go down the shoulders, into the arms and the hands, and that can affect your grip strength. So having a brace like this on the wrist can help you with that problem that you've suffered because of nerve compression or nerve damage. Other products that we make, this is a relatively new product that we've made, which is made with a particular qubit measure that goes beyond source. Okay, now source is the origin of your energy. We call this going into celestial existence. Okay, and I'll give you a very simple analogy in a minute about the different qubit measures we do have that facilitate the energy we make for these tensor products in a minute. But this is wonderful because you can create a sphere like that creates a sunshine effect. But you can also collapse this. You can collapse it down like that, and you can squeeze it on and wear it as a bracelet. Okay. And then you can also obviously bring it back out and make it as a sphere again. We make wands. So this is made out of brass and copper. Okay, all cut to specific sacred qubit measurements. Okay, because again, that's very important. What I will say to people that if you are going to buy a tensor product, and I make these tensor products, is it's not necessarily about how fancy it looks. There's some great people that make some great products, and don't get me wrong, I love the fact that people are out there making this technology. But the key thing of getting the most out of this energetically all comes down to that measurement that it's made of, that qubit measurement that's made of, because that qubit measure is an anchor. For example, this ring is a physical anchor. Okay, this copper ring's a physical anchor, but it's bringing through energy through the bit that you can't see anything physically. So it's a physical anchor to bring in etheric energies that quite often are coming from the vast, edges of this universe or this reality, or even coming from another universal reality. Now, when I mentioned that, that's the scope of the qubit measures that Truly Holistic brings through. Okay, so let's talk about that. So, as I say, it's a physical anchor, bringing them through a column of light. Okay, now the 4 qubit measurements we bring is one called the activation, the gateway, the ascension, and then we call fire infinity, which is bring through the celestial energy. That is the most expansive energy we'll be able to bring through at this point. Now, what they work together, okay, and that's why we also make products where we sell the trio set, the trilogy of the rings. Okay, so that's just a bigger version of that. So we have them in different sizes. Okay, so for example, that ring there is that ring there. Okay, so even though it's bigger, a lot of people, as the human, will think, okay, that's more powerful. Not really. It's still a physical anchor bringing through the same energetics. It's just a bigger surface area. Okay, like for example, I can't pop this over top of my head, but I can that. Right, so my head's in that column of light. Okay, but again, if you've got a whole lot of supplements or things that food or water you want to bring and put in that column of light, then you've got more surface area with the bigger ring compared to the smaller one. Okay, so the first qubit measures the activation. And the activation, again, it's all written on my website in regards to the products, what qubit measures that there are, and what they're made of, all the products that I make. But that activation qubit gets you to the doorway. And what I mean is the doorway is your heart. Okay. The problem as the human and with the mind is our awareness has been up here. Okay. And it follows the limitation of sight. Our visible sight is 0.0035% of the electromagnetic spectrum of light, which means it sees less than 1% of what can be seen in this reality. And we exist on a multitude of realities. So if we are following what we see, then we're already causing us to go off track. Science, when we bring this information up as a intuitive, as a healer, the scientific people will say, or people that are into science, where's your evidence? Well, that's a science fact of our visible sight, how limited it is. So we can easily say the statement and back it up with that science, is that we should not trust what our eyes show us. If we're seeing less than 1% of it is, for sure. Okay, so when our awareness is here, we're in a limited capacity. Okay, we're going by our human identity, and a big aspect of our human identity is the mentality of lack. Okay, is seeing us as the little old human. Okay, we got born into this incarnation. Okay, we've lived many lifetimes, and we're already a member of a club which we call humanity. Okay, which means you're one brick amongst 7 or 8 billion bricks that make up a wall. And sadly, it's the wall that is obstructing you or blocking you, okay, from evolving, from ascending. And with that human identity, okay, we are every day being distracted in regards to our attention. We're being drawn by distraction of our attention. And when that happens, we are then guided by the mind and we disconnect from our consciousness, which is our authenticity. Instead of being our authentic self, we become our conditioned self. Many lifetimes ago, we came here as the soul first, but we got conditioned as the human second. We didn't come here to become the human. We got conditioned, hoodwinked, manipulated to forget who we truly are, our power as a soul, as a consciousness. Okay? And when we're here and we're locked here, our mind becomes the most familiar jail cell you'll ever become familiar with. Okay, and you live an existence which we call hexagonal existence in my healing sessions. You live a limited existence, and out of that limited existence, it creates a state that the body will follow, which produces degeneration. That's where all these diseases and illnesses come from. It's the way we are living. Okay, we call it hexagonal existence because it's not a. We short that. Hexagon is obviously a geometric form, six-sided form, and there's a lot in regards to that. But also, we shorten it even more. We get the word hex, and hex is a curse. Now, it's not a curse or a hex that's from an outside influence. The hex is from ourselves by living a limited existence. Because at the core, we're expansive. We're a consciousness, and that consciousness needs to abide by the law of consciousness, and that is to evolve itself. Okay, so the first step, we want to get people out of here, because out of here we create out of fear. Okay, create from the mentality of lack, and out of that process we lose awareness of our power and how we use our power. So the first thing, or the activation qubit, is to get people out of there. It helps get people out of there and gets them to the doorway, which is your heart. Your heart is an organ, if we look at it from a physical point of view, that has a rhythm and a rate to it. Now, it has a rhythm and a rate to it because it's a projection of that vortex of flow that we were talking about at the start. Okay, that's why it has a rate and a rhythm to it. And we'll be told that the heart is the pump to our blood. No, it's the other way around. The blood influences the heart. Okay, because your blood is your life. It's your life energy, right? It's your life force. So, as I say, this is the doorway to a pathway within you, at a quantum pathway that goes within you. Because you've got to remember, everything you see of your reality with your eyes, including you as a human body, is a less than 1% representation of what it really is. So with the work that I do here, we look at the other 99% of it and more of what really are we. When we look up at the sun in the sky, what really is the sun? Because what I know is the sun, what I see as the sun, is a less than 1% of what it really is. The earth, what is the earth? We know what it is of that 1%, but what is it outside of that? Okay. Things would absolutely look completely different, and they would be completely different, right? We talk about the dimensions. 2D, where everything's flat. In 2D, we would be able to move forward, move back, move sideways, but not up and down. And 3D, it brings that axis into it, where we can go forward and back, side and side, but we can also go up and down. So when we go into 4D, 5D, 6D, it's a completely different ballgame. Okay, and everything that we see here in this reality is bound to a consciousness. It's the genesis of what that projection is, consciousness itself. Okay, and that has a connection with religion as well, in regards to Book of Genesis. Genesis, everything starts from consciousness. Okay, so that activation qubit gets you to the doorway. Okay, and then the next qubit measure, which we call the gateway, it takes you through that pathway, that which we can call a gateway. We could call it a wormhole. We could call it a stargate. We could call it a path. We could call it a journey. Whatever term you're happy to call that. And it takes you through there. Okay. So the first qubit measure, activation, gets you the doorway, gets you out of here, gets you here. And that's the biggest step of all. Okay, because we can't do anything about anything unless we have an awareness of it. And our awareness doesn't come from being here, it comes from being here. Being present, being in the now is very heart-centered, and it gets you out of here. So all of a sudden, you can create out of love instead of fear. And that's why I tell my clients, if you want to change what's happening out in the world, you need to change self first. Because how are you going to change a world from a perspective of your reality from here, from a limited perspective? Okay, you're going to try and fix duality problems with duality solutions. Doesn't work. You may fix that problem, but you'll make duality problems along the way. Okay, and in that process, people lose themselves. We call that a lost soul. Okay, so it's very important first to get from out of here and get to here. And any healers and intuitives know that, and they need to know that when they're about to do their healing or their channel work, they need to get into the heart. So activation gets you to the door, gateway takes you through the door. And once you go through that channel, you can connect to what we would call your higher selves. Now, those higher selves can be called ascendants as well, or eternals, or we can just call them variants of you, because they are versions of you that exist in different universes or different realities. That's why we call ourselves multidimensional. They share the same energy signature as to you. For example, in this reality, this universe, there is no two souls alike. Okay. No one shares the same energy signature to you in this universe. That's how unique you are, which is the polarity to kind of what we're conditioned to as a human, that we're kind of just one amongst 7 or 8 billion of us. Okay, that's where the mentality of lack originates from. And it stems to a majority of our issues as we get older. We're trying to prove a point. We're on a never-ending search to find our purpose and know what we need to do, or needing love from others instead of realizing that we be love. It's not about finding or searching love. It's about being love yourself. Okay. Not as the observant or the person that lacks it and is needing of it from someone else, but creating that themselves. Okay. So that gateway qubit enables you to connect to not only the wisdom or the energy that is bound to this universe, this reality, but a number of them. Okay. So that activation qubit enables you a spectrum of frequencies, not just hitting one frequency, like the old qubit measurements, like the 144, 177, 188. But it's a smart device because you're enabling the soul back into the picture as your guide, not the mind, your soul, your consciousness. And that soul can facilitate a frequency or a bunch of frequencies that you require at that moment. Because in every moment, you can have different challenges. You're going to be experiencing different things. You're going to be, at a different point of your life at that particular time. And with that facilitation, your soul then brings forth those frequencies that are needed at that time. So it's a smart device, okay? Because your soul is an intelligence, and that's why we call that. Your mind is a form of intelligence, but it's not your innate intelligence. Your soul and your consciousness is. And why we call it your innate intelligence? Because it's not something external to you. It is you. We're trying to bring through an evolved higher aspect of you through. Okay, and that's why you can trust it. Because if it was the wrong do, it's wrongdoing itself. Okay, and I'm not really a big fan of people dialing in or channeling external higher powers, because they are going to have an agenda that's different to you. They may give you answers, but they will take something back in return. Because as I say, every conscious needs to evolve itself. So when we're in the mind, other intelligence come in and utilize us as an interface, a vessel, because we are we're a prized commodity because we create, okay? We're very powerful creators. And the most prized commodity of how we use our power is through our attention. That's why, the collective, what is it always trying to do? It's always trying to grab and distract your attention. The greatest example of that at the moment is COVID. It's got 7 or 8 billion individual creative forces with their attention on it all the time. No wonder it's not going away. Because if we feed it to allow it to remain part of our awareness, it will continue and continue. Because it's evolving itself through your own energy, through your place of attention. So those 2 qubit measures, one, activation to the doorway, gateway qubit, connects you to your higher selves. The next qubit measurement. So as I say, the activation brings through the full spectrum of frequencies that's bound to this universe, this reality. The gateway qubit brings through multitude of spectrums of frequencies from a number of universes, a multiverse, a multi-reality version of you, variants that exist in different realities, which we can call our higher selves, okay, as they're more evolved than we are. And then the next qubit measure of the trio set is called the ascension qubit. Now that connects you back to source, the origin of your energy. Okay. Now this 4th qubit measure that we use, which is the fire infinity, it connects to even deeper than that, which we call celestial existence. Now the analogy I like to bring forth to people of those 4 qubits, okay. And as I said earlier, I'm not someone that is forging Slim's work. We've kind of taken Slim's work and Tensor Technology and we've taken it further. We've evolved it further with my goal of understanding reality and me as a healer just naturally. It was a natural process. Now, the way I've talked about those qubit measures, I'm going to wrap it up into a very simple analogy. And that is the analogy of a tree. Okay. Now, the tree has the roots of the tree, has the trunk of the tree, has the branches coming off that trunk of the tree, and then the foliage, the leaves, the flower, which is an expression of, it opens up, right? Flower. And obviously the soil, which then enriches the roots and the tree. So if we go back to source self, right? Source is the origin of you. And source is just not one source for all of us. We all have an individual source. So it's still a self. Okay. Now, they are the roots of the tree. That's the roots of the tree as source, okay, which is the ascension qubit. Okay. The gateway qubit is the trunk of the tree, which then can facilitate into different branches of reality, right? Different realities, universes. So your source energy, the energy at the roots, go up the trunk and then they branch off into those different realities that make up versions of you, which we call variants or higher selves. Now, as that energy goes up to the branch into the foliage, then that is the reality or the universe that you're in. This reality or universe that I'm in and the people I'm talking to here today is called Generation 3. Okay, so the higher versions of you exist, Generation 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on. And so when you go through the heart, okay, you can be connected to all of this. Okay, we're not only bringing through an infinite reservoir of energy, we're bringing through wisdom that is bound and connected to a multiverse or multi-reality, which then brings forth the information to give you more understanding and knowing of what you then observe here. So you're not just observing, that less than 1% of what is and wondering what the hell's going on. You're enabled, your wisdom's coming through that's going to give you greater understanding and knowing and certainty to what you then observe as part of your reality. But also, more importantly, how you use your power, how you use energy as a creator, not an observant or a participant only. Okay. So when it comes to celestial existence, the fire infinity, that fourth qubit measurement, that's the soil that then feeds the roots of the tree, which is your source of energy. Okay. So I like to use that analogy because it's a simple analogy. And it's the interesting thing because really your higher aspects of self are closer to the roots of the tree. So they're actually lower down than you. So what happens is this energy from source, the roots levitate, they go up. Now, what's another word we call for going up? To ascend. Okay. So the force that we know as levity, which is the polarity to gravity, is low vibration. When you're sick and not feeling very well, and you feel lethargic and slow and heavy, that's the effects of gravity. That's low vibration. Okay. That's when we get stuck in the mind, we limit our capacity of living, and we get in that headspace of everything's coming from an outside influence that's affecting me. And then we quickly get into fear because we're worried about curses, spells, and all these things that are coming from outside influence. And what do? We get heavy. Okay, we lose clarity, we get cloudy in regards to choice decision making because, and that's the root of everything, right? Your power. That's why we need to be present and be in the moment, because there are two choices that are bound to every moment, which means that's connected to every experience that you've ever had and you're ever going to have. And that is two choices in every moment. Where am I going to place my attention and how am I going to use my intention? Okay. They are everything. They are root to every aspect of every experience you're going to have. Okay. And what you're going to manifest. If you lose sight or awareness of those two choices in the moment, you're still creating, you're still manifesting. But you've just got no awareness. You don't have an awareness of what you're creating. And a lot of times, a lot of your energy could be feeding the very thing that you don't want as part of your reality that perhaps is making you sick, not feeling very well. So that awareness of being in the moment and being very present, which enables you to shift your awareness from out of here and back into here, is everything. Because all of a sudden you connect into your expansion, your authentic self, not your conditioned self, which is the human, okay, which is the trap or the limiting or the limitation itself. So these tensor rings and tensor products and the qubit measures that were brought forth for me, because you will not find these qubit measures anywhere else, anybody else that makes tensor technology or tensor rings, are directly connected into this wisdom, this level of knowing and understanding. Okay. And why I love to make these products, because I want people to have the experience that I have in every moment, every day. Because what I do, as a job, as an intuitive healer, healing people every day, is something we can all do. We can all tap into it. Okay. But it's just having the knowing of how to do that. And we can provide that here at Truly Holistic through reality coaching, but also Ascendance healing, but also the products that we make that empower you to get into that feeling of that energy, which enables you to know more about self. The whole aspect of ascension is the rediscovery of your authentic self. It's taking steps back to connect to who you truly are, because we've been conditioned for a number of lifetimes where the mind has been in control. The word control is associated with the word mind. The word surrender is associated with consciousness. And that's why we really need to divide consciousness and mind completely and not bring them together. They are complete polarities. We've been conditioned as the human for anything that is divine to be something external to you. That's the whole aspect of gods. Okay, what's another word for what? God, creator. But we're creating. So that must mean we're gods. And that's been the big hoodwink or the trickery of it all. In our history books, our mythology books, we see ourselves as little old humans, always the little old human, the mentality of lack. And we see these gods. But they're not the gods. They are the manipulators that then access you through the mind to get you to create for them according to their agenda. You're doing it. They need your creative ability because they don't have it. Okay. So we should see ourselves as something godly, celestial, because that's what we are. Okay. So the aspect of, connecting in our authenticity is seeing who we truly are. Okay. Because, living lifetime after lifetime as the human guided by the mind has really messed us up in a big way. And we really do need to connect down to our authenticity. And a lot of these products can do this. Now, some of the other products I'm going to show you, as I showed you earlier, I make wands as well. Now, this is made of brass and copper, all cut to 3 different qubit measurements. So the 3 qubit measurements I just mentioned, the activation, which gets you to the door, gateway that connects you to all the branches of higher self, and then all the way back to your source self. At those 3 layers of you as infinite consciousness are all facilitated within this wand. Okay, so it's an extension. Now, one thing I must mention about these products, Tensor products, they are training wheels for you because they are just facilitating more of you. Okay, they are assisting that process. But when you have these products around you and then you learn about reality, how reality works, what you're capable as a creator, okay, which we bring forth in reality coaching and in the healing sessions at Truly Holistic, then eventually you will not need these because you will be able to bring a facilitation of that aspect of you through just your own means, because everything is about you. Okay, these are just bringing forth higher aspects of you until you can do it yourself. Okay, so we make lovely bracelets, and we've got a whole lot of design of bracelets. I think there's about 3 different bracelets that you can buy. This is just one of them. We also, as I show you, we make a whole lot of rings, small size like that. One sort of about that size. We also make the big size, and that's the trilogy. We've got the activation, we've got the gateway, and then we've got the ascension. So you got those 3 there. Also make this product here, okay, which is bringing an anchor, the ring, anchoring the column in, but then the starburst in the middle then allows it to expand out to about 300 feet. But again, the more potent you become in regards to your intention ability, you can even expand this energy out even further with a product like this. We make an Ascendant. Now, this tool here connects you to all your higher aspects of yourself and every reality. Okay, so that's why we call it the Ascendant. Okay, so we connect the oneness. Now, the oneness that we hear about is not the oneness of humanity. It's the first oneness you want to connect to is you as a multidimensional being. Because as I say, to change everything out here, out in the collective, we need to connect to our authenticity first. Okay, we need to connect to our own oneness, our own soul family. And remember, as I say, in this reality, this universe, there is no 2 souls alike. But where you do have a soul that connects into the same energy signature to you is your variant, your higher self that exists in another reality and other universes. And this particular product enables a greater connection to that. Okay. Now, all these products, can help with healing, pain, inflammation, more clarity, more lightness. Why? Because it's bringing through more of your energy. Now, what's the most common complaint as the human? Is a lack of energy. It's lethargy. Now, that is directly connected to the aspect that you're not connected to your authenticity. You are in your conditioned self, right? The human. And you're allowing the mind to guide your process, which again limits you. When you get out of here, get back in here, and all these products are allowing that connection to assist you with that. Then instead of having a limited supply of energy, you are connecting to infinite consciousness, which means an infinite reservoir of energy that you can tap into. So there's straight away, there's no aspect of lack, because the lack is bound to a mentality, the conditioning of the human. Okay. Plus it brings through all that wisdom. So therefore, when you're living your life and what you're experiencing with your duality eyes, right? Duality two, and then you got your singularity eye here, which is neutrality because it divides the two polarities, is you can see every day through different eyes. Okay. That's how we change this world, by changing our perspective, continually growing, evolving our perspective and perception of reality. And these products are wonderful at doing that. We also make a product that is quite gnarly looking, but you place that on your head for people that have migraines and headaches. And I tell you, within minutes, within 5 to 10 minutes, or even having a head cold, it's gone. Okay. Call it the Cerebro, which is kind of in line with the X-Men with Professor Xavier. A new line of products that were brought forth, which is an extension of Tensor Technology, is called light products. And what we're doing now is, because as I said earlier, these tensor rings are physical anchors, but they're bringing through energies that are beyond that window of spectrum that our eyes are bound to. So it's bringing through spectrums of frequencies that are not just bound to one reality, one universe, but a multitude of them, because you're connected to a multitude to them. That's the key of it. And we use this type of technology to anchor it in, right, into the physical. But what we've also been doing is, instead of using the copper and using twisted copper, we've been anchoring it into crystal powders and making light products, which is another form of anchoring it. And we make wonderful pendants like this one, which is got malachite crystal powder, and we put it into a resin mold to make this pendant. And that enables me, when I then ship it off to the client, I dowse to find out what energies they need in regards to their evolvement, their ascension, based on the same qubit measures I've just mentioned. But what I do then, I've got direct connection to the etheric templates, the energy which doesn't need the physical anchor, the origin of where it comes from. And I can just intend those etheric templates to be anchored into these crystal powders. So we have a number of options in regards to these pendants. If, for example, if you're somebody that loves the copper, great, go and get these. But if somebody that's more into the crystal look, then we have these types of products. This is another one that I've used Tensor Technology as well as the light technology together. Okay, and I call this the eye of neutrality. It looks like an eye, right? Now, this pendant is the only pendant we have that uses the Tensor technology that has not sort of 3 qubits, but the 4 of them. The activation, the gateway, the ascension, and the fire infinity, which brings in that celestial existence. And what it will give is a warning, the celestial existence one. It's pretty full on when you're first using it. So you just want to use it on and off to start off with until you become acclimatized to it. And look at the activation, like the earth element, the gateway is the air element, source is water element, and celestial existence or fire infinity is the qubit measure we call it, is fire. Okay, and that fire comes in and it burns and disconnects and dissolves all the attachments and everything that is no longer serving you. That's why you will go into detoxing, and that's why you have to be very careful with it. It can put you into like a fever or detoxification mode very quickly, because it's just dissolving those attachments like very quickly. Where the other 3 qubits is more of a gentle way of doing that. And that's why sometimes if somebody's got a really severe health problem like cancer or something like that, and they haven't got much time, we quite often advocate the fire infinity, because they need changes happening quickly, even though it might be a turbulent process, but it's going to make things shift very quickly. So we make pendants like that, and we also make them in amethyst. We also got shungite, We've also got lapis lazuli, which is the blue crystal powder. We also make them in what I call light stones. So you get a whole lot of stones like this. So again, you'll get the clear one that's got some amethyst in it. You'll get the malachite, you'll get the shungite, and then you'll get a blue one, which is the lapis lazuli. And it will have the 4 separate qubit measures, so 1 in each stone, that you can then, if you're a healer or a practitioner or intuitive, then you can be very crafty with them, and it comes in a lovely little bag like that. So you could just simply have them in your pocket and bring them out whenever you need that particular energy, or you want to cast that energy out, as I say, if you're a practitioner. We also make a product called the Sunray, or I don't make it, I'm a distributor of it. This comes from a company called Crystalline Incorporated range, and it's called the Sunray. And this is a great broadcaster, so you can place intention in it. It'll broadcast that effect out. I've created a system called the broadcasting system, which is a great system that is a transitioning phase system for you to learn from becoming the observer, the participant as the human, and becoming that creator. Instead of taking physical supplements or having to source out superfoods or medicinal herbs that cost a lot of money, you learn how to get that effect through just writing intention notes, not even having the physical thing. Okay, and that system teaches you that, called the broadcasting system, on my website, trulyholistic.net/products/. You'll find all these products there. And we use the sun ring as that broadcasting agent of your intention. Why? Because obviously it looks like the sun. Now the sun is symbolic for your soul. Okay. If I was to go to you from an outside perspective, a human perspective, and say, and you being here and life being here as we know it, what is our main energy source, our main light source of light as we know it being here, including us? You go the sun. But if we change that perspective and I said, instead of looking outwards, I want you to go within. I want you to connect to your light source, your energy source. What am I referencing to? The soul. Now, the soul is in a plasma form. What's the sun? Mainly plasma. What's the Latin word for sun? S-O-L, pronounced soul, just like S-O-U-R. And what did I say earlier? What we look at externally, we are seeing a less than 1% representation of what it truly is. And the thing that you'll always experience is through your own eyes alone. You'll never look through anybody else's eyes. So keep that in your awareness, that when you're looking back at the sky, you might not be looking at one sun for all of us, the whole human dynamic of we're all just experiencing and observing on one plane of existence together. You could be looking back at your own soul, your own sun, and it's same connection with the earth. That could be your earth, not just one earth for everybody. Okay? Again, the earth, what my guides tell me is the earth is an expression of you. Okay? Starts with the heart, ends with the earth. And funnily enough, those two words, the word heart and the word earth, contain all the same letters. The only difference is the H starts at the word of heart because it begins with the heart, and the H ends with the word earth because it ends with the earth. The earth becomes an expression of you because you are a creator of your own reality. And part of that own reality is what we deem as the earth itself. But yeah, that's essentially it in regards to the Tensor technology and the products, including the light products, which we've now evolved towards. We're still doing the Tensor products because a lot of people still love the Tensor range, but we've now added this light products range as well, where we're anchoring the same energies, but just through a different format in regards to a crystal format, using crystal powders and doing it that way. But also, as I say, I do Ascendance, quantum Ascendance healing for everything and anything. People quite often come on for a session, they say, oh, I'd like to get my daughter in. Do you think you could help with this? I always say we do anything and everything, not because I want to be a big kid and say I know everything, but more the fact that at the core of everything is frequency and energy, and that's what we work with. So And we also do the reality coaching to get you to understand reality and how reality works, the universal laws that are bound to this universe, because every universe that you are connected to through multidimensional being are all slightly different. They all got slightly different universal laws to them. We teach you about that, but more importantly, we get you connected into your own light, into soul embodiment instead of human embodiment, and therefore you can get a wisdom and understanding of how you use your creative and manifestation abilities, because it's not about whether you want to manifest or not, it's about whether you're aware of what you're manifesting or not, and that's really the key question and focus in regards to that. And obviously we can make you these products which empower you to become more of a creative force as well, and the healing systems that we also sell, including the broadcasting system, as well as the intuitively aligned system, where I teach you to work on your biomechanics, fix your own neck, your own back without physical touch, just through intentional work alone. So we cover a whole lot of stuff at Truly Holistic, and it's all catered for you to become empowered and walk in your own authentic self again.
Amazing stuff. I took notes, and I'm going to go back to the replay. And it's so interesting because I kept hearing, listen, Michelle, listen, because there's some messages that were definitely in there for me to go back
Awesome.
and implement in my life. So I really thank you. Chris, I've been watching you. I don't think you're aware of this. I've been watching you for maybe 4 years. Kevin Haight, I think you might know Kevin Haight.
Yeah, I know Kevin,
Yeah, so I think it was 4, maybe 5 years ago, he was telling me about you. And I was like, okay, so that I've been watching you ever since and learning different things. And like I said, thank you so much for accepting my invite, for being on Soul Treats. And I just wanted to show everybody down below, you can see it's scrolling. It says trulyholistic.net. But let me put Chris's website here, and he's got his services that are there, but also his products that are there as well. Let's see, there it goes. It's loading. And these were these the pendants that you were talking about here? Let me bring them
correct.
up. Oh, they're there. Okay. Just so that everybody can kind of see those up close. Those are quite nice.
And as you can see, there's a lot of information about there talking about just a basic outline on what those qubit measurements are and what they bring forth, like I discussed in today. And when it comes through to picking which kind of crystal powder you want in there, obviously that might be in alignment with the energy of what amethyst brings through, or maybe malachite or shungite. But really, the beauty of the product and where the power comes through is not what they naturally bring through the crystal themselves, but we're using the crystal as like an anchor of those etheric energies that I was talking to you about, which is really where the power lies. We're bringing through those energies through. Before I even got into Tensor Technology, I've always been into geometry, and when we do look at crystals are very geometric, so it's the same. It's the same with when we look at the crystalline aspect of the copper wire. When we twist it like that, this is what kind of enables them to be anchors, and which can hold energies. Like, for example, if you've got a crystal at home, you can just place voice intent into that crystal. That crystal will then emit that frequency, so it can become an amplifier of that frequency. But what we're doing here is like another level up, where we don't just put it in voice intention in it as a amplifier, because it will only hold that for a certain amount of time. We actually anchor in the etheric template of where those frequencies originate from, which enables that to be locked into that pendant, so it will never go away. It will always be there.
Amazing. Let me get to your other product here. So this was the wand. Actually, you have a couple of them that you were talking about.
That one that you've clicked there is exactly the same wand as this one, but half the size.
Half the size. Okay.
So
Oh, I
so
see. So you
this
can have it
one
like on
here,
your key.
that's it. Yeah, that's what I do. Like you can have it this size, and for somebody might like it that size, but if you're somebody that wants that, but wants it can put it in their pocket or take it around with them, that's why we've made also that little loop at the top of it,
At the top.
so you can also have wear it as like a pendant or around your neck if you need to, the smaller one. So and take it around with you. It still facilitates the same energy because again we're using the same qubit measurement with the smaller size to the larger size. It still brings through the same energetics.
Oh, so here we go. I just want to look at the shower head.
Yeah.
Let me just bring that up. There it is.
So the other two sizes that that again, it's the same qubit measure, the activation, and but just two different sizes because again, depending on what your shower unit's like. Why I developed that product is because I, a lot of things I bring forth is through my personal journey as well. And I know what I'm going through day in day out is not just me alone. I know a lot of other people go through similar things, and I found that the time of the day that a few negative thoughts or thought forms would creep in was when I wake up in the morning after night sleeping and waking up in the morning, and obviously in the morning getting ready for work for that day, you jump in the shower. And I noticed that, and one of the first ways I used a ring was I put it on my shower water just to restructure the energetics of the water coming through when I was having a shower. But one thing I realized was I was getting massive downloads of information and just ideas and wisdom while I was under that water in the shower. And also another thing I thought was all of a sudden those negative thought forms dissipated and went away, and I was getting all this guidance and intuition and excitement about the day. And I was like, wow, I wonder what's going on. And then I looked up and I was like, wow, it's because of the ring. It's because of those energetics being brought through. So that gave me an idea that I think we'll put a product out that we kind of cater for putting on your shower. So therefore, when you're under that water, it's going to bring you so much insight and excitement and that's going to get you off to a great start of the day where it brings your awareness from here and puts it straight into your heart.
It's interesting that you talk about the shower because after I do energy work on a person, straight away I'm in the shower and it's really incredible just the cleanse. But then as I'm like in the water, all of a sudden the visions start coming through. I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah,
It's
well,
quite strong.
naturally, like for example, the grounding or earthing effect, right? Is that
Mm-hmm.
when we go barefoot on the earth, right, and we absorb the negative ionization on the crusts of the earth, which is there embedded by lightning, is it creates this it's abundance of negative ions, and those negative ions are the good ones. Positive ions are the kind of the man-made frequencies that are not compatible with us. And it brings clarity, and people will say you're earth and you're grounded. Now that's reestablishing that connection back into the heart, right? So when we're having a shower in the morning, that water is running through pipes, and those pipes are in the ground, right? So a lot of that water that is hitting you is more grounded or earthed. So when it hits you, then that circuitry of that water then dials into you and connects you, and it helps you become more grounded and centered as well. But by using that ring, we're just enhancing that.
Enhance it.
Mm,
Yeah, water's definitely my go-to.
mm.
Um, so yeah, thank you so much again for being here, and thank you everybody for watching. I see quite a few of you who popped in towards the middle, towards the end, and I really appreciate everybody being here. And I can't tell you enough how much love I have for everyone who's really supported this page and watched it grow. And we're going to be ending the broadcast in just a few seconds. And tomorrow, Sunday, I'll have Matthew T. Volk on, and you can't miss that. This guy's an incredible reader. So hopefully you can make it for that. It's at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And Chris, just thank you so much again. You have this incredible wisdom, and I'm looking forward to going back and watching the replay again to really take it in even more, because there's quite a few messages in there, everyone. In case you want to go back to listen to it, quite a few messages that are being presented to you. I don't know if you caught that while you were listening, but there's quite a few. So thank you so much, all the way
Thank
from New
you.
Zealand. And what time is it there?
It's 9:15 in the morning.
9 in the morning. Okay, it's 12 in the afternoon here. So thank
And,
you,
I'll,
everybody.
and it's Sunday here, while it's Saturday where
Well,
you are.
yeah, exactly. So thanks so much, everybody. And if you have any questions, please feel free to connect with Chris. I've got all his information in the description. And please be sure to subscribe and ring the bell on his YouTube. He's got some really great information that he puts on there, which I've truly enjoyed. So thanks so much from Vancouver, Canada, and have a great Saturday.
Bye.
I'm going to end the broadcast now.